Protests erupted in Dallas outside of a gay bar after a family-friendly drag show was put on, and parents brought their young children to dance with and give money to drag performers. The left is defending this. Outright, they are saying there's nothing wrong with this, and it's akin to going to a pageant or playing dress up or Comic-Con, where kids come and people dress up and they put on a performance. People on the right are saying it's overt child abuse, and that's why many were protesting this event. Now, even some leftists, well, I don't know if it's even fair to say because it's overtly tribal, but some people who play the more centrist type are calling this out. And I think it's fair to say any honest person who actually wants to address political issues to better understand what is going on in this country and to speak up for what they believe is true and correct and moral and just, any person who is being honest and in good faith will call this out and say what was going on at this bar was detestable and should not be happening. Why? On the back wall of this child drag show, or I shouldn't say child drag show, family-friendly drag performance where children tip the performers, it reads, "It's not gonna lick itself." Yeah, you know what that's a reference to, right? They are grooming children, okay? If they wanted to put on a catwalk performance, I'd be like, you know, you're on the line. If all that happened was people dressed up in costumes and walked down the aisle, smiled, and walked back like a catwalk show, I'd be like, if parents want kids to see this as normal and that's all it was, I'd be like, you're going to have to give that one to the parents. I mean, because really, what do you have then? You have men dressed up in costumes. Okay, I could understand that if that was the actual argument and that's what was going on. That's not what's going on. What's going on is they are normalizing stripping culture. I'm not saying stripping culture in any way to like demonize stripping culture, but there is a culture, I'm not saying it's a pronounced one, in stripping as to different names, different types of stripping, and how you pay for the dancing, which is overtly sexual. That is, you sit around as the dancers come by and you hand them money. That overlaps with drag performance, and we have seen children, such as Desmond is Amazing, rip off his clothing as a young 9 or 10-year-old child as a bunch of gay men at a 21 and up gay bar are holding up money and paying him to do it. Stripping. They're grooming your kids. This is literally what grooming is. Okay, let me explain. It's not going to lick itself, right? You know, I'm just going to jump straight to Shoe on Head, who posted this image. You can see the dancer dropping it low, getting low to the ground. You can see little girls and little boys, and they're all laughing and filming. It's not going to lick itself in the background. Why are they putting children in front of a sign at a bar that is 21 and up only? Grooming. So let me explain. Grooming is not when a child is brought into a dungeon and then they abuse the child, like when they actually make the children do things. Grooming is when they introduce the child to the lightest form of this kind of activity, such as signage on the wall that says it's not going to lick itself. So, that's what you tell someone when you would like them to perform an adult activity. I don't even know if YouTube's going to allow me to show that. It says it's not going to lick itself. This is the crazy thing. It's not going to lick itself on the back wall at a family friendly. Is that what you think? When these children are then told it's not going to lick itself, they're going to be like, oh yeah, just like mommy and daddy told me it was cool, told me it was good. They brought me there. I remember that. That's good. It's not good. It's not appropriate. It's not for children. That's what they're doing. This is grooming, period. They're not taking the kids into the back and physically touching them. No, that's overt abuse. Grooming is this. This is what grooming looks like. And this is also what they do in schools and what they're doing with kids. Let's read the news. All right, let's get into the news here from the Daily Caller. Drag builds confidence. Listen to drag queens defend their decision to perform for children. YouTube channel Flecka's Talks shared a video Sunday containing interviews with drag queens at the controversial Drag Your Kid to Pride event in Dallas. The drag queens performed in front of a glowing pink neon sign that read, "It's not gonna lick itself." Though the video focused on interviews with performers and adult attendees, children can clearly be seen holding out cash to the drag queens. who promptly take it. In another, a young child with his face blurred out reluctantly walks down a runway alongside one. What was that? It's not just that they're having this signage and these performers. They actually have children participate. They have little girl, little boy. There's even a photo. I think I have it here. Let me refresh this page from WFAA. I don't know if they have the image. Let me see if I can find the image. They actually have kids walking down the runway, I guess you'd call it, at this event. Here we have from the Daily Mail. Drag your kids to Pride event in Dallas where children take to the stage to dance with drag queens in thongs sparks fury. They're grooming your kids. Here's what you can do. Share this. Please, I mean this one. Share this. I have a friend. And, we're hanging out. And this dude's, fairly left-leaning. And I passively mentioned, I'm like, this is the other day, and I'm like looking at my phone, and I'm like, so there was this drag queen children's event in Dallas, and then he just interrupts, what? And I was like, yeah, well, I didn't finish. What I was going to say is there was a drag queens event, and protesters showed up, but just the fact that I said drag queens for children event made him go, wait, what? And then I'm like, bro, do you not follow the news? And he's like, what are you talking about? No, he doesn't. That's why it's so important we talk about this. So right now you have that don't say gay stuff in Florida. It's mostly left the news cycle. But there are people who genuinely do not know that they are having children stand in front of a neon sign that reads, it's not gonna lick itself. You know what that means. Yeah. It's absolutely fascinating, isn't it, that this stuff is happening, and it seems to be getting worse. But you know what? Let me throw it back to the tweet from Shoe on Head. Shoe on Head, as of course you know, is a fairly lefty individual, but has no problem calling this stuff out. She says, I don't like being gaslit about how totally not weird this is. Look at this neon sign. I'm just going to show it right there, like big, bold letters, big neon. That's what they're telling kids. Okay, look. I think there's a line. And that's it. That's well beyond it, to be honest. Shu says, leftists, stop being scared to point out that the emperor has no clothes because you fear being called a reactionary. You know what? Shu. Everybody loves Shu on Head, but Shu, I just think you're missing the big picture on this one. The big picture is they like it. You're the odd person out. You're the social moderate, I guess, economic leftist. Yeah, well, guess what? So am I. There's a line, and it's here. Now, economically, I have some relatively economically left positions. I'd love to talk about tax policy, but that's not particularly relevant right now, is it? It's not a big issue that's affecting this country. It kind of is, especially with inflation and everything. But the issue right now, this country is bifurcated. It is split in two completely. And when Shoe on Head comes out and says, leftists, stop being scared to call this out, they just outright come out and defend it. First, we get some whataboutism. Now, and I don't think whataboutism is wrong, right? This is the idea that if someone says X is a problem, someone says, what about Y? Well, what about Y? I think it's fair to point out, okay, we've got two problems. That's fine. But I think you always start from a place of, you are correct, this is bad. I completely agree. We should have a conversation about it. I also would like to add to the conversation that the holistic view of this is kind of bad, right? That's fine. The first response is, I think more so, stuff like this is also happening. And with the way things seem to be headed, people are wary of accidentally adding to narratives that will maybe fuel violence against LGBT people. Okay, now that's where you get the bad whataboutism. Someone posted this video. Quote, the fist of Christ will come down on you very soon, groomer. Intensely violent Christian fascists who came to attack families at Pride made a number of explicit threats of genocidal violence. Shut up. Okay, the dude literally says that, and it's bad. Chill out, seriously. I mean, I don't know what that means, the fist of Christ. I know Jesus got mad sometime, like that, flipping the tables and the money changers. I know Jesus literally said, if you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. And my understanding, according to the literature I've recently read, was that it was in reference to defending yourself against the state who would violate your rights. No joke. Yes, you should seriously read that passage. You should probably just read the Bible so you can better understand what the arguments are from the right. Or if you're Christian, you should Probably read it because you're a Christian. But a lot of people come out and they're like, where in the Bible does it say to buy a gun? I'm like, yo, Jesus is literally like, hey, they're going to kill me. Buy a sword. Anyway, I digress. We don't need this. You got to be, we don't need violence from anybody. Okay. But that being said, this is, yeah, but they're being violent against LGBTQ people. And there it is. That's it. When you groom children and put up and have them stand before the glowing neon sign of telling these kids, normalizing overtly adult activities, and someone gets mad, and then you say they're threatening violence against LGBT people, they've done it, conflating pedophiles with the gay community. And that, I think, is wrong. But this is what they're doing. A lot of people tried claiming a few years ago that there was an effort to normalize child abuse in the LGBTQ community. And many prominent LGBT activists pushed back, saying, we do not accept these weird things that are popping up on the internet. There's a thing called like maps. I don't even want to get into that. They're like, no. Now they're like, well, we should defend it. Otherwise, it's going to be violence against all gay people. Okay, you've accepted it. You've accepted it. You've defended it. It's there now. You take a look at some of the responses to Shoe on Head. Look at this. One person said, I mean, if you look at it, it's mostly families having a good time with their kids at a fun dressing up show. Nothing different than taking them to a cosplay event at Comic-Con, except for the strip culture of paying for sexual activities. Now, this is the important point. This is the very important point. This is on a scale of 1 to 10 of severity of sexual activity, a 1. That's the point. They have people do sexualized maneuvers and dancing for money while they put it's probably not a 1, actually. It's probably like a 3 or a 4. Crossing that 5 is where you're getting into actual like physical abuse. But a 1 is like just having the kids watch the drag performance, where it's like you are now telling them to open the door into adult activities without having them engage in it. As soon as they're giving money and as soon as you're putting up a big sign, it's not going to lick itself. Now you've actually crossed the threshold. You're at a 3 or 4. You're not overtly abusing, but you're now grooming these kids. So what's the problem? The sign? Wow. Literally nothing inappropriate is going on here other than the sign. I think you're making a big deal out of nothing. This is the game they play. They groom your kids, and then they try and downplay it and say it's no big deal. It's nothing. It's just a sign. Okay, we get it. The sign's bad. That's it. I think Shu also had another tweet. I think I may have retweeted it where it's like, first they say they're not grooming your kids. Then they say, what is it? It's like first they say it's not happening. Then they say it's happening and it's a good thing. Then they say you're a bigot for opposing the grooming. This is where we're at. A lot of people protesting. But the reaction I want to show you here are the people saying, there's a guy that, here's one says, it's an event that happened in one spot in town, an entire country, and everything is awful. Put on your shoes, go outside and touch grass. Stuff like this is mad. So I always want to make sure, look at this one. Someone said, as a centrist, I respect all political viewpoints. It's just a coincidence that I only show support for the fascist ones. They're pedophiles. Hands down. Children, prepubescent children, at these events, giving money for a sexualized performance in front of a sign that says it's not going to lick itself. They're grooming these kids, period. Now, I want to make sure I point out accurately what the it's not going to lick itself is supposed to mean. I don't know if I have it pulled up. But they also post advertisements where they show ice cream. And then it's supposed to be a double entendre, like have the ice cream, it's not going to lick itself. Yes. That's the argument they're making, and it literally does not matter because the point is it is a overtly I can't even show some of this stuff. This is insane. I can't even. All right, let me show you where we're currently at. Let me see if I can 8-year-old drag queen says if your parents won't let you do drag, you need new parents. Canadian Nemisquin Melanchon Golden hit the headlines earlier this month. A drag child. We have, do I have the other one pulled up? I don't know if I have it pulled up. Let's see here. DC Public Schools to host drag queen performance for high school students. There was another one that I had pulled up. I don't know if I have it, but there's drag children, and they're prepubescent. They're being abused by their parents. That's just it. I look, the goal of the groomer and the pedophile is to try and figure out where the line is, where they can get well-to-do liberals to be like, is that the line? I don't know. I don't want to be a bigot. And that's the game. They say drag is just about performance. It's about dancing. Then why are they wearing thongs? Why are they wearing what is overtly sexualized? Why are they saying these things? To go back to the Daily Mail article, they say, children take to the stage to dance with drag queens in thongs. And they say it's just dress up. They're abusing kids. And this is the game they play with everything. These people try and figure out where the line is for what would shock people and then press against it. So you take a look at some of the arguments they have. And I'll explain too. People get mad at me when I point this out, but it's a true fact. The 1964 Civil Rights Act, you can't discriminate in public accommodation. Race, gender, national origin, et cetera, et cetera. I think it says sex, not gender, but I'm using that interchangeably. So this was used to justify the end of racial segregation because they would have, black only and white only. They'd say, you can't discriminate on the basis of race, therefore, you can't have separate but equal. Except we do now with gender. You have the men's room and the women's room. And the left is using the similar arguments. What about a 5-foot-tall effeminate man? Why is he going into the men's room? What about a 6'5", muscular, masculine woman? Why is she going to the women's room? Well, because they're men and women. They're arguing now that gender is an arbitrary qualifier as to why we would segregate. And thus they use the same arguments to try and take the end, gender segregation. And they are actually winning that in many ways. I don't know outright, but you take a look at unisex bathrooms. Two things have happened. In places like New York, new buildings have just basically gotten rid of the multi-use bathroom, and now they have single-use bathrooms. It used to be there was a men's room and a women's room. You'd walk in the men's room, there'd be like 3 guys in there doing their business. Now it's just 4 rooms. I kind of like it better, to be completely honest. See, this is fine. You walk in the room, you close the door, you lock it behind you, you got a bathroom to yourself. Way better. I can pick my nose, and I can take a dump without having to, in privacy. It's more comfortable, right? In some places, they've just gotten rid of dressing rooms. They've gotten rid of segregated dressing rooms, and now men and women are both dressing in the same area. That happened in the UK. That was a few years ago. This is what I mean by they try and find the line and then press upon it, because they'll use simple arguments where you're like, that is true. 1964 Civil Rights Act says you can't discriminate on the basis of sex. Then how do you justify sex-based segregation? Well, courts have ruled so long as equal access is provided, then it's not discriminatory. Like if the men have a bathroom and the women have a bathroom, they're not discriminating because everyone gets a bathroom. And herein lies the big problem. Now they're saying, but the bathrooms are different. In the men's room, there's only 2 stalls. Well, that's not fair. There's 4 urinals and 2 stalls, but in the women's room, there's 6 stalls. Yeah, because women typically don't stand up. They have those funnel things. Well, now they're saying they're not equal. And how do you respond in the courts? Men and women are different. And then they'll argue this. What about biological females who got, urethral lengthening? Or what about somebody who's intersex? And they'll say all of that. And then they're going to try and use these arguments to they want to find out where that hole is to shatter the breaking point, as it were, to make the whole thing come down. That's what they're doing. This is it right here. Did any of these drag queens get nude? No, but they were wearing thongs in front of children. And so this is them taking a step over the line to see what the reaction is. Well, the reaction was a protest. But now, of course, because they've already normalized Disney doing drag shows, Discovery doing drag shows, Paramount sponsoring drag shows, all for children, because they've done that enough over the past few years, they now take it one step further and have the kids go on stage with the adult performer. But we've already seen worse. There was a photo of a drag kid standing next to a fully nude man. This is back in 2018. And the left defended it. Okay. This is what you need to share with people. And I'll tell you this. You can tell your parents, show this to your parents, please. I hear all the time, my parents watch CNN. They don't understand. Be like, did you hear about the drag for kids thing? And they'll be like, what? Show them it. Show them it. Let them experience that cognitive dissonance where they're defending this. And then tell them, are you serious? You seriously defend this? Because they won't. Many will, many won't. Share these stories with them. People tell me that, their parents are brainwashed. They don't believe it's really happening. Here you go. They've crossed the line. But, I got to be honest. If 4 years ago we were seeing an 8-year-old child standing right next to a fully grown naked man, and they're in there, it's like a drag performance, but the man's nude, completely naked, and they're like, this is fine, then I think those people must be lost. And I don't know I don't know what you do. This is well beyond the line. What they're trying to do is they step over it. Then the left comes out and completely defends it, saying, oh, it's just a performance. And they try and push the line further and further. Well, something's happening. People on the right are organizing. People in the middle are joining them. Shoe on head is not right wing. And they're saying this is bad. And they're holding the line. Because these creepy people, you give them a few years, they will be trying to lower the age of consent. They're already doing it now. They're trying to say 16-year-olds should vote. 16-year-olds are adults. They're trying to move the line. It's getting creepy out there, man. But you know what? Let this be the red pill. Maybe this will wake your parents and your friends up when you're like, please defend this. There's an effort, there's a call. Many on the right and some right-wing politicians have said they're going to make child drag events illegal. That's their effort. And I'm like, I think they already are. I got to be honest, like, There are public decency laws about what children can be exposed to, and I think thongs and It's Not Gonna Lick Itself already violate that, but sure, I don't know. Are police gonna do anything about it? But they're saying they want to make it illegal. And at the very least, I think people on the right should make this a prime issue for the midterms. They should come out and be like, look, we think it's inappropriate, and force the Democrats to defend it. Because they will, because they have no choice. And then they can say, all you gotta, look, if it were me, I'd be like, look, I'm not, like, I'm, drag events are fine. I think adults can do what they want to do. But why are they asking, like, telling kids it's not going to lick itself? I'm sorry. I can't do that. Show that to the suburban moms. I wonder what's going to happen when these drag events in schools, which are happening, when these parents find out about it. I think, for a lot of reasons, if you can get that message out and tell people, please put an end to this, please, we can't allow this, then you will see a red wave. But this stuff is only getting crazier on the left, and they're defending it, like I showed you with the shoe on that stuff. This is why they're going to lose. Because regular people are like, I have a line, man. I have a limit. It's gone too far. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.